everybody, and welcome to the Howie and Beastmode broadcast covering business, strategy, growth, and execution. Beastmode, it's so nice to have you on today.
Yes, it is. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and it was nice just to take a break to connect for a few minutes and introduce you to a good friend of mine.
Absolutely. Well, let's introduce that friend. So Raju Datla is an entrepreneur providing utility concierge services and is also very interested in personal growth. So Raju, it's just super nice to have you on and nice to meet you. I know you know Beastmode a little bit, but first time you met me, so hi.
Hi, great to meet you guys. I'm really grateful that you guys wanted me to be on this. It's awesome. First time podcast, though.
Absolutely. Well, what do you do? Tell us a little bit more about what you do, and maybe that'd be a good start.
Sure, I'll give a quick intro. So multiple things right now. One of that is utility concierge, but full-time IT career for a long time now. Starting a new business in IT, or at least marketing something soon. It involves HR checks. And another one actually might help business owners actually for getting loans and stuff. Business owners and real estate investors. So that's a little bit about me, and heavy into personal development. So
that's great.
And to piggyback on some of that personal development, I know that me and you have been back and forth, mainly on LinkedIn, just because I love your book selection. I love somebody who's an avid reader like me. But what's a book that you find that during this time is a good area to reflect on, and specifically touching on personal growth?
The most amazing book I read and that has helped me immensely now is Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. It just when we look at this from outside perspective within ourselves, live in the moment, experience what you're going through as it is, instead of trying to fit it into our own reality, it changes the perspective. And then you can just see as it is, experience as it is. Don't resist it. Don't
positive or negative.
Yep, exactly.
Yep, so you live in the positive or the negative. You don't discount either. There's a lot of people who want to bring the highs down or they want to bring the lows up. Mm-hmm. It's experiencing it right where you are and addressing it and then moving forward either way, correct?
Exactly.
How's something that you've been able to implement that in your personal life, whether it's in one of the multiple businesses or maybe it's just in personal side that you've been dealing outside of business?
Meditation. So I meditate daily. One of the difficulties I had was either of you guys meditate, right? One of the things is great thing, if you can do it, is watch your thoughts neutrally as an observer. If you're able to get out of yourself and wonder, who is that person? Each time you have a thought, it's a part of you. It's not really you. Your soul is neutral. Your soul is just observing everything, and your brain, subconscious, is recording everything, and it starts talking, right? You got that monkey brain, subconscious. So that's what it helped me. When I meditate, I'm able to laugh at it like, I know who that is. Oh, that's the business guy. That's this guy. That's the family guy. Or that's the guy who needs to do something today, talking. So that has really immensely helped me in that one.
That seems very helpful. I've talked a few years about managing your thoughts and managing your thought permissions. And what I've learned is that there's a lot of automatic negative thoughts that people go through. And so sort of checking that instead of just buying into it and being pulled along by those, tidal forces that are sometimes within us or sometimes seem to go through us, if we can really identify those. And I like your process a lot because I think it would help you identify and sort of pick out of air those particular thoughts that are negative and say, no, you're not allowed.
So flip it a little bit, flipping on, one of the things he teaches is let it in. Do not hold it on to it, because one of the things if we do is, let's say you have a negative thought and like, no, I'm going to resist it. What that happens is it'll come out in a different way sometime later. What he's teaching is basically let it in, let it flow through, experience it, let it pass through. Do not hold it.
Okay.
So,
because maybe you're supposed to learn something through that, And maybe you won't get the lesson if you don't at least encounter that and sort of work with that. Okay, that's good.
Experience it. Just experience it as it is. If it's anger, experience it. But understand it's that moment. Something in you is taking a context, an opinion of it and making it real as if that's all the reality, which is not. In a sense, it's, if you observe it neutrally, you'll understand, okay, it's not really me. It's just me experiencing something at that moment. So,
and so right now, there's so much time that we have, just because we're, if you calculate all the drive time that we're normally committing, if you calculate, the cleanup at the work office and things like that, we're finding that we have so much more time even outside of work. And one of the areas that I know that's on your heart, that's on mine and Brian's heart is too, is we can take that time and we can invest it back into ourselves. I know Brian is consistently, putting that out there. And Brian, maybe you want to take a 30-second dialogue to give us what's on your heart. And then we can each kind of round table what speaks to us from there. But, there's a perspective that in the middle of this pandemic or crisis that we're in, even if your personal business is stagnant, sometimes that's out of your control. There is an opportunity for us as an individual to get better.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I would say that I sort of did this yesterday. I had a personal prayer time and reflection, and part of that was thinking, like Raju was talking about. And I actually did sort of, I was able to meditate, and I kind of came up with some business ideas and some business opportunities through that, as well as I kind of got to interrogate a few things that I was thinking and feeling. So I think I will give a lot of credit to what Raju is saying. I added prayer as an element to that too, but everybody has their different thing. But I think there's a lot of benefit to what he's saying. And for me, like I said, there's actually business. I'm kind of an entrepreneur soul as well. And I have I was able to kind of come up with a couple of new ideas through that. So I love what you're talking about. I think if to Beastmode's point, if we can utilize a little bit of this extra time to do that, I think we can grow.
That's exactly, I guess I'll go back to something I watched today by Ed Milet. He talked about an amazing concept of dividing the day into 6-hour days. So every 6 hours is a day. And within that day, you got to fit in the personal growth too. And he evidently is doing 15-minute exercise during that time to keep the exercise cycle and all. I'm thinking I might do 8 hours. I don't know if I can do 6 hours, but it really put a new perspective in the way he's doing it. So you put in 7 days, 21 days versus or whatever number of days instead of a normal person putting in the 7 days. So he's exactly talking about that, taking advantage of this time and changing your mental shift on the time aspect and putting more days in the days you have. I don't know what each of us can do it, but that's something I'm trying to look at now, trying to figure out how I can do that myself.
Yeah, that same concept, I believe, goes back for, thousands of years, where people want to cut out sleep and try to gain more time back, because time is the one thing we all have in common. Doesn't matter how wealthy or poor we are, no matter where we were born, we're all on that same platform of time. And instead of, cutting out sleep, it's almost being more efficient or more judicious with the time that we do have, which is what the gentleman's talking is about, is basically allocating your time. You got your work time, you got your sleep time, you got this time, and this time is a personal growth time. And that, again, everybody has that in different forms, whether they jot that down and say, I'm 10 minutes of every hour I'm taking for personal growth. Some people need that rigorous scheduling. For me, I try to be more diligent. Again, I'm similar to Brian. I enjoy prayer time. I enjoy kind of an entry-level foundation. And then basically I sprinkle in my personal growth consistently. I don't think there's ever a time where I want to stop growing personally, especially, since, we now have this opportunity. It's it's even more, it's similar to what we were talking about right now, when most people are stagnant in maybe they're spending their entirety of this time watching Netflix or something else. This 1 minute of personal growth is actually exponentially, more beneficial compared to what everybody else is doing. When normally my 1 minute may be equal to what everybody else's 1 minute is. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
I hadn't thought of it before. It makes sense though, because that 1 minute, you may have a revelation or get yourself set free or have a business idea or a business improvement or a way to save money that you can benefit for the next 50 years versus you might not on that Netflix show, encounter anything positive. You might just be, one more sheep following, what all the other sheep are doing. So never thought of it before, Beast Mode, but it's a good idea. Raju, does that resonate with you?
It does, because I am pretty much, I don't watch as much TV, even Netflix. Maybe it's been a little upped in this, COVID era, but normally I don't. My time is spent, the TV time is YouTube, watching personal development gurus, Ed Miler. I mean, I can rattle off hundreds of names probably. That's all I do. I mean, read the books or watch those during my free time because it's a passion of mine. It's just looking at it that way, just enjoying the improvement.
Was personal growth always a mindset for you, or did something happen where you had a shift? Because I know I did. That massively triggered my shift from being passive towards personal growth to being very, very, very proactive each and every day.
That's a great question. Exactly, that's what happened. I think I mentioned this a little bit when I got into the utility concierge. So the first book that was suggested was Think and Grow Rich. And that's the first time I read How to Win Friends and Family. Influence People when I was 20 years old. And the next personal development was this. And that just hooked me on 2 years ago. And it just never stopped. I just went from, I'm a 100% guy. I don't go in between anything. So once I get hooked on something, I'm done, focused on that. So it's been like I mentioned to you, it's been not only career-wise, business-wise, personal, family-wise, it's affected a lot of people in a good way because of how I am being.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's good.
Now, what speaks to you? I see it on your face. I know listeners can't see what I'm seeing maybe, but
yeah,
I see something triggered you.
Yeah, but it's more that it triggered a wrestling than triggered a resolution. So, it just triggered some new wrestling for me to work on.
Awesome. Well, I know for me, one of the things that I truly hope that this roundtable, that all of our discussions have, is an opportunity for somebody to take that step. The same step that Raju took, the same step that I took almost 2 years ago now, the same step that will always pay back dividends. We talk about it all the time, about things that, whenever you stand up to fear, no matter what it costs, the return on it is always so much more valuable. When you stand up for something that's right, the return on it is always so much more valuable. When you invest in yourself, the return is always so much more valuable. So I hope that today, whatever day you're listening, that whenever you hear this, you decide to take at least one step forward, because that return will be so great.
So true.
So true. Yeah, it would be amazing if even one person is touched by this. So
the only thing I would add to it, Beast Mode, is that I sometimes, don't compare yourself. So what Beast Mode or I or Raju say, if you don't have that same thing within you, look within yourself and see what you do have and double down or triple down on that instead of comparing. Because it's funny, because I go to this gym, or actually I used to go to this gym, and it said comparison is the thief of joy. And it's so funny to be inspired off of a gym wall. But I'm not going to, make up a different story. That's where I saw it. And it's really stuck with me. In fact, Jordan or Beast Mode, you may have heard that from me before. That's where I got it just last year. Comparison is the thief of joy. So whatever it is that is inside you, if you can identify things that you are interested in, developing, giving yourself permission and time and space to do that is what you should do. Use the trigger, and like a minute ago, Beast Mode saw something on my face that I was kind of resonating with. What he saw was that I was resonating with a new wrestling. I didn't have an answer yet, but it triggered something. So if something like Beast Mode was saying a second ago, if you can use this broadcast to trigger within yourself, what is it that I could grow in, that I'm also interested in growing in, and then go spend triple, 3x time on that. And maybe it's only one or two things, but imagine if you amplified those one or two things. So I resonate with both of what you guys are saying. And the only thing I would add to it, because you guys have covered it so completely, is focus on your strengths and triple down on your strengths and your interests and allow more time for them right now. And don't feel bad if you don't have someone else's. Completely agree.
Yeah, very true. I totally agree. You can't compare, one step for you, maybe half a step for somebody, or maybe not a step for somebody. But really, ultimately, Howie, what I hope is that, again, not a comparison thing, but I hope is that maybe this will get you off the couch. Maybe listening to three gentlemen who are in the middle of the same crisis, the same pandemic that whoever's listening to this is in. But you can stand here, and I replied back to somebody had this just awful LinkedIn post earlier, just had all these stats and just everything negative. And my only comment was, you can have fear or you can have hope. Because that's a choice. We have a choice every single day. And I hope that somebody listening just decides, I'm going to take the choice. And I'm going to read a chapter in this book that I haven't read in a while. I'm going to invest 15 minutes. I guarantee you that 15 minutes is going to be well worth it.
Awesome. Well said.
Good stuff.
All right, gentlemen. Well, it was quick today. Thank you both for jumping on with us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Rahu, thank you so much for everything, and we hope that we can get you back on here soon.
Yes, sir. Always. Would love to.
Howie, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Enjoy Beast Mode. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.